It was almost midnight when Ethan Carter, a 42-year-old tech millionaire from California, walked into his spotless marble kitchen, and froze. There, under the dim glow of the refrigerator light, he saw his maid, Maria, crouched on the floor, her hands trembling as she ate from a plastic container, filled with leftovers he'd told her to throw away. Her eyes widened in terror the moment she realized he was watching. The fork dropped from her shaking fingers. "Sir, I'm sorry," she whispered. "Please. I didn't mean." Ethan just stood there. The man who'd built a billion-dollar company couldn't utter a word. His jaw tightened as he watched her quickly wipe her mouth and back away like a guilty child caught stealing. Why would a woman he paid more than fairly resort to eating scraps from his trash? Brief pause, music softens. Before I tell you what Ethan discovered next, if stories of hidden kindness, heartbreak, and redemption move you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles. Because what happens next will stay with you forever. Ethan's mansion was silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. Maria stood there, barefoot, wearing her faded uniform. He noticed her hands, they were raw, cracked from constant cleaning. "Maria, why are you eating leftovers? Don't I pay you enough?" Her lips trembled. She couldn't look him in the eyes. "You do, sir. More than enough. It's just. I didn't want food to go to waste." He frowned. Her voice was kind, but something about the way she said it didn't sit right. Over the next few days, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about that night. The image of Maria, hiding and eating in fear, haunted him. She always came early, stayed late, never complained. She never even asked for a day off. But now, Ethan began noticing things he hadn't before. Her lunchbox was always empty. She refused to eat the meals prepared for staff. She wore the same shoes every day, one sole half torn. And once, when Ethan was leaving for work early, he noticed her stepping off a bus, walking 2 miles to reach his mansion. She lived in one of the poorest parts of town, but she never once mentioned it. He started wondering. Who was this woman really? And why did she seem so afraid of kindness? That weekend, Ethan decided to test something. He left a full meal in the fridge and wrote a note. "Maria, this is for you. Please eat." But when he returned that evening, the food was untouched, except the note. It was gone. The next day, Maria came to work as if nothing happened. "Did you get my note?" Ethan asked casually. "Yes, sir," she replied softly, eyes down. "Then why didn't you eat?" "Because I don't deserve it, sir." That sentence hit Ethan like a brick. Don't deserve it? What does that even mean? Maria's lips quivered. She was about to speak, when the sound of glass shattering from the living room interrupted them. They rushed in. A photo frame had fallen. It was Ethan's family portrait, his late wife and his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, smiling in the picture. Maria froze, staring at the photo like she'd seen a ghost. Her face turned pale. You have a daughter?" she whispered. "I did," Ethan said quietly. "She passed 3 years ago. Drunk driver. My wife too." Tears welled up in Maria's eyes. She quickly turned away and muttered, "I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't know." But Ethan noticed something strange. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably, and she hurried to the bathroom, locking the door. For the next few minutes, Ethan heard muffled sobs. Something wasn't right. That night, curiosity became obsession. Ethan followed Maria's bus route after she left work. He parked at a distance and watched her enter an old, crumbling apartment building on the edge of town. Through the cracked window, he saw something that stopped his breath. Maria wasn't alone. There was a little boy, no older than 7, lying in bed, pale and weak. She knelt beside him, feeding him the leftover food she had secretly saved. Her voice trembled as she whispered. Eat slowly, Mateo. Mr. Ethan will never know. Someday, Mama will buy you a real meal. Ethan sat in his car, staring, guilt washing over him. All this time, while he lived in luxury, his maid was starving herself to feed her sick child. He drove home, his chest heavy with something he hadn't felt in years, shame. The truth he never expected. The next morning, Ethan did something he'd never done before. He arrived in the kitchen early, with breakfast for two. When Maria walked in, surprised to see him there, he smiled faintly. Sit. Eat with me. She froze. Sir, I can't. Please, he insisted. No work today. Just, talk to me. Tears filled her eyes before she even sat down. It had been years since anyone had spoken to her with such gentleness. They ate in silence for a while until Ethan finally asked. Why didn't you tell me you have a son? Maria's fork stopped mid-air. Because people don't keep maids who come with baggage, she said bitterly. I've been fired before for bringing my boy to work. He's sick, sir. Heart condition. The treatment costs more than I make in a year. I send every dollar home. That's why I eat what's left behind. Ethan felt his throat tighten. What about his father? Gone, she whispered. Years ago. Then she looked up, really looked at him, and said something that shattered his world. When your wife and daughter, when they died, I was there. Ethan blinked. What do you mean? I was working in that same hospital. As a part-time cleaner. Her voice broke. Your daughter, she was so scared. I sat with her until the doctors took her in. She held my hand and said, tell Daddy not to be sad. I tried, sir. I really tried. Ethan's breath caught. His chest ached as he imagined his little Lily, scared and alone, being comforted by this very woman now standing before him. Why didn't you tell me before? Because I didn't think you'd remember me. And I didn't want you to feel pain again. Ethan stood up, tears streaming down his face. Maria, you gave my daughter comfort when I couldn't. You don't owe me anything. I owe you everything. For the first time, Maria wept openly. The walls she had built for years finally broke. That evening, Ethan went to her apartment. He saw little Mateo lying on a thin mattress, his chest rising weakly. Without saying a word, Ethan picked him up gently and said, He's coming with me. Maria panicked. Sir, please, you can't. I can. And I will. He's family now. Within days, Ethan arranged the best doctors in Los Angeles. Mateo underwent surgery, and after weeks in the hospital, he finally opened his eyes, smiling faintly at Ethan and whispering, Thank you, sir. Ethan choked back tears. Don't call me sir, kid. Just call me Uncle Ethan. Months passed. Maria continued working at the mansion, but this time not as a maid, as the housekeeper and caretaker of a home full of life again. Mateo would run through the halls laughing, and sometimes Ethan would catch himself smiling at the sound, a sound he thought he'd never hear again. On the anniversary of his daughter's death, Ethan visited her grave. Maria stood beside him, holding a small bouquet. He placed his hand on the cold marble and whispered, Lily, you told her to tell Daddy not to be sad. I think I finally understand. Maria wept quietly, and Ethan turned to her. You gave me a reason to live again, Maria. You and your son. And as the sun broke through the clouds, shining gently over the two of them, Ethan realized something profound. Sometimes, the people we think we're helping are the ones sent to heal us. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles, where true stories remind us that love, compassion, and kindness can change the world.